The desperate arrangement. Vikram Singh drummed his fingers against the mahogany desk of his corner office, staring at the invitation that had arrived earlier that morning. His cousin's wedding, another grand family affair where he would face the inevitable barrage of questions about his own marital status. At 34, as the CEO of Indus Innovations, he had built an empire of revolutionary software solutions, but according to his traditional family, he remained incomplete without a wife. The Mumbai skyline glittered beyond his window, the afternoon sun reflecting off glass buildings that seemed to touch the clouds. His assistant Deepak cleared his throat from the doorway. "Your mother called again, sir. She wants to know if you'll be bringing anyone to Ravi's wedding." Vikram loosened his tie with a frustrated sigh. "Tell her I'm working on it." But he wasn't. The dating apps on his phone remained unused, and the blind dates arranged by well-meaning relatives had all ended with polite goodbyes and no follow-ups. It wasn't that Vikram didn't want a relationship, he simply hadn't found someone who saw beyond his wealth and status. 3 floors below his office, in the building's community center, Priya Mehta was directing a group of neighborhood children in their upcoming play. At 29, she had abandoned a promising career in corporate marketing to pursue her passion for community theater. Her program, Spotlight Dreams, gave underprivileged children a creative outlet, but funding had become increasingly scarce. "Wonderful emotion, Arav," she called out to a shy 10-year-old boy. "Remember, even when you're afraid, your character finds courage." After rehearsal, Priya sank into a chair, reviewing the past due notices that had accumulated. The community center had given her 3 months to secure funding or surrender the space. She had already sacrificed her apartment for a tiny room above a noisy restaurant to cut costs, but it wasn't enough. That evening, fate intervened when Vikram, heading to his car, took a wrong turn and ended up walking through the community center. He paused, watching Priya organize costumes alone, her determination evident even in this mundane task. "Excuse me," he called out. "I'm looking for the parking garage." Priya looked up, her warm brown eyes meeting his. "It's on the other side of the building, Mr. Singh." He raised an eyebrow. "You know who I am?" "Everyone in this building knows the tech genius who owns it," she replied with a slight smile. "Though I didn't expect to find you wandering the community center halls." Something about her straightforwardness intrigued him. She spoke without the deference or flirtation he typically encountered. "What's happening here?" he asked, gesturing to the makeshift stage. "We're preparing The Lion King. These children have never seen a professional play, but they're creating their own magic." As they talked, a wild idea formed in Vikram's mind. This woman was genuine, articulate, and clearly unimpressed by his wealth. Before he could reconsider, he blurted out his proposition. "I need a fiancée for my cousin's wedding. 3 days, all expenses paid, plus enough money to fund your program for a year." Priya's eyes widened with disbelief. "Excuse me? It's just for show," Vikram continued, surprised by his own desperation. "My family needs to see I'm settling down and I need someone real, not another socialite." Priya clutched the costume fabric tightly. "You want me to lie to your family for money?" "I prefer to call it mutually beneficial acting," he replied. "You need funding. I need peace for my family's matchmaking." Priya should have been offended, but as she glanced at the past due notices peeking from her bag, she considered what that money could mean for her kids' program. Swallowing her pride, she made a decision that would change both their lives forever. "I'll need a contract," she said firmly, "and ground rules." Vikram extended his hand, a business deal sealed with a handshake that tingled unexpectedly. "Welcome to the charade, Ms. Mehta. Rehearsals begin tomorrow." Rehearsed smiles. "Remember, my parents believe we met at a charity gala 6 months ago." Vikram adjusted his gold cufflinks as their luxury car approached his family's ancestral estate in Udaipur, the centuries-old palace-turned-hotel, now the Singh family's pride and joy, rose majestically against the backdrop of Lake Pichola. Priya nodded, mentally reviewing the detailed backstory they had crafted over the past week. "And your grandmother has a sweet tooth, so I should offer to make her my special cardamom chai." "Exactly." Vikram glanced at her with reluctant approval. She had traded her usual casual attire for an elegant emerald silk sari that complemented her complexion perfectly. His stylist's selection, of course. Yet somehow Priya wore it with a natural grace that surprised him. "Are you sure this will work?" she asked, anxiety creeping into her voice. Your family seems formidable. Just stick to the script, he replied curtly. And please try not to mention your community theater around my father. He considers the arts a hobby, not a career. Priya bristled but said nothing. The money would be worth the temporary compromise of her values. As they stepped into the grand courtyard, decorated lavishly for the pre-wedding festivities, a swarm of relatives descended upon them. Vikram's mother, Asha Singh, elegant in her traditional attire, embraced her son before turning curious eyes to Priya. So you're the mysterious woman who has finally captured my son's heart, she said, studying Priya with the scrutiny of a jeweler examining a questionable diamond. It's lovely to meet you, Mrs. Singh, Priya responded with practiced warmth. Vikram speaks of you with such admiration. The evening progressed with introductions and polite conversation. Vikram kept Priya close, his hand placed possessively at the small of her back as he guided her through a minefield of family politics and expectations. And what does your family do, dear? Asked Vikram's aunt Kalpana, her tone implying that the answer would determine Priya's worth. Before Priya could deliver the scripted response about her fictional background in a respectable banking family, Vikram's 8-year-old niece Zara tugged at her sari. Auntie, can you help me? My dance for tomorrow's Sangeet ceremony, I keep forgetting the steps. Priya glanced at Vikram, who gave a nearly imperceptible nod. I'd be happy to help, sweetheart, she said, genuinely relieved to escape the interrogation. In a quiet corner of the courtyard, Priya worked patiently with Zara, breaking down the classical dance movements into simple patterns. When the girl finally executed a perfect sequence, her face lit up with pride. You're a natural teacher, came a gentle voice. Vikram's grandmother, Dadiji, stood watching them, her wrinkled face creased in a smile. Thank you, Priya replied, forgetting momentarily that she was supposed to be a sophisticated businesswoman, not a teacher. My grandson needs someone with patience, the old woman continued. He rushes through life collecting achievements but missing moments. Later that night, during the family dinner, Vikram watched with increasing bewilderment as Priya charmed his relatives one by one, not with rehearsed lines but with genuine interest. She listened attentively to his father's lengthy stories about the hotel's history. She helped his mother adjust her necklace when the clasp came loose. Most surprisingly, she made his intimidating uncle laugh with an unplanned joke. You're good at this, Vikram whispered as they shared a traditional Rajasthani thali. Almost too good, Priya shrugged. I'm not acting the way you think I am. After dinner, Dadiji approached them. Show me your hands, child, she commanded Priya. Confused, Priya extended her palms. The old woman traced the lines with her finger. These are hands that create, that build, not like the soft, unused hands of those society girls Vikram usually brings. She turned her knowing eyes to her grandson. This one is different. Don't let her go. Later, as Vikram walked Priya to her guest room, an uncomfortable silence stretched between them. Your grandmother is perceptive, Priya finally said. She's sentimental, Vikram dismissed. But you did well today. Just remember that this is temporary. Priya paused at her door. Of course. Just business, right? But as Vikram returned to his own room, he found himself replaying moments from the evening. The genuine laugh she shared with his mother, the gentle way she had guided Zara, the ease with which she navigated his complicated family. For the first time since their arrangement began, he wondered if he had underestimated what he was asking Priya to pretend, and more disturbingly, what it might mean when the pretending ended. Unscripted moments. The second day of wedding festivities began with a riot of colors and sounds. Priya awoke to the distant beat of dholak drums and the chatter of excited voices. Today would feature the mehendi ceremony, where the women would have intricate henna designs. Applied to their hands, she found herself seated beside Vikram's mother and aunts as an elderly artist, adorned her palms with delicate patterns of flowers and peacocks. The women shared stories and teased her about Vikram. He was always so serious, his mother confided. Even as a child, he preferred solving puzzles to playing games. The first computer his father brought home disappeared into Vikram's room for weeks. He emerged with a simple program he'd created, at just 11 years old. Priya smiled, finding it easy to imagine a young, intense Vikram hunched over a keyboard. He still gets that focused look when he's thinking deeply. The comment slipped out naturally, and she suddenly realized how closely she'd been observing him. Their business arrangement had required hours of preparation, and somewhere along the way, she'd begun noticing his habits, how he straightened his watch when nervous, how his rare genuine smile started at one corner of his mouth before spreading. "You bring out something different in him," Dadi Ji remarked, watching Priya with those knowing eyes. "Last night was the first time I've seen him laugh without restraint in years." Across the courtyard, Vikram was engaged in a cricket match with his male cousins and nephews. Occasionally, his eyes would drift toward Priya, catching glimpses of her animated conversations with his family members. Something unsettled him about how seamlessly she had integrated herself into his world. It was supposed to be a performance, yet nothing about her interactions seemed forced. The afternoon brought an unexpected complication. As guests gathered for lunch in the grand pavilion overlooking the lake, Vikram's cousin Ravi, the groom, received an urgent call. His fiancée's father had suffered a heart attack in Delhi. The wedding might need to be postponed. Chaos erupted as family members debated what to do. The venue was booked, guests had traveled from around the world, and traditional beliefs about auspicious dates came into heated discussion. Amid the confusion, Priya noticed Naina, the bride-to-be, sitting alone in a corner, tears streaming down her face. While everyone else argued about logistics and expenses, no one had attended to the young woman torn between her wedding day and her father's health. Priya approached her quietly. "What do you need right now?" she asked simply. Naina looked up in surprise. "I need to be with my father, but I don't want to disappoint everyone." "Family comes first," Priya said. "Everything else can wait." When she returned to the main group, Priya cleared her throat. Surprisingly, the arguing voices quieted. "I think we're forgetting what matters," she said firmly. "Naina needs to be with her father. The celebration means nothing without love at its center." Vikram stared at her, astonished by her boldness in addressing his family so directly. But before he could intervene, his father nodded slowly. "The young lady is right. We will arrange for Naina to fly to Delhi immediately. The wedding can wait." Within hours, Vikram's family had transformed the planned festivities into a prayer ceremony for the bride's father's recovery. Priya worked alongside Vikram's mother, helping to reorganize the arrangements. When she suggested donating the prepared wedding feast to a local orphanage, the family embraced the idea with enthusiasm. That evening, as lanterns floated on the lake during a simple blessing ceremony, Vikram found Priya standing alone at the water's edge. "My father says you're a remarkable woman," he said, joining her. "He's not easily impressed," Priya smiled. "I wasn't trying to impress anyone. Some things are just right or wrong." Vikram studied her profile in the golden light. "Why community theater? With your intelligence and people skills, you could be making 10 times the money in the corporate world." "Because art saves lives," she answered without hesitation. "I had a student once, a boy from the slums who never spoke. His father was abusive, his mother worked 3 jobs. The first time he played a king in our production, he stood taller. By the end of the program, he was helping other children find their voices." She turned to face Vikram. "Some rewards don't show up in bank accounts." The sincerity in her eyes made Vikram uncomfortable. He had built his life around measurable success, profits, innovations, acquisitions. Priya's values challenged his in ways he hadn't anticipated. "You're not what I expected," he admitted. "Is that good or bad?" Before he could answer, his phone rang. It was the hospital in Delhi. Naina's father had stabilized. The wedding would proceed with a slight delay. As Vikram shared the news with his family, cheers erupted across the courtyard. In the midst of the celebration, Vikram's cousin Arjun clapped him on the back. "Your Priya is something special, brother. When are you making it official?" The question caught Vikram off guard. For a brief, disorienting moment, he had forgotten this was all pretend. Later that night, as fireworks illuminated the sky, Vikram found himself watching Priya as she laughed with his nieces and nephews, teaching them to make shadow puppets in the lantern light. Something inside him shifted, a realization that the most valuable thing in his life right now wasn't even real. Or was it? The line between performance and truth had begun to blur, and Vikram wasn't sure which side he wanted to be on anymore. The final act. The rescheduled wedding ceremony was set for sunset, and the palace buzzed with renewed excitement. Priya helped the bride's younger sisters arrange flowers while Vikram attended to business calls, their agreed-upon charade continuing smoothly. "You must be Priya," came a silken voice from behind her. Priya turned to find a strikingly beautiful woman in a designer lehenga. her perfectly manicured hand extended. I'm Tanisha Malhotra. Vikram and I have history. Priya's stomach tightened as she recognized the name. According to their briefing sessions, Tanisha was Vikram's ex-girlfriend, the daughter of his father's business partner. Lovely to meet you, Priya replied, maintaining her composure, quite a surprise to everyone. Your engagement, Tanisha continued, examining Priya with calculated precision. Vikram always said he'd never settle down until he reached 40. Something about freedom being essential to innovation. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I wonder what changed his mind. Before Priya could respond, Vikram appeared, his expression tightening at the sight of Tanisha. Tanisha? I didn't know you were invited. Family friends, darling, she purred, touching his arm. Your mother still adores me. The rest of the afternoon became a delicate dance as Tanisha inserted herself into conversations, dropping intimate references to her past with Vikram. Each comment chipped away at Priya's confidence in their performance. During the wedding ceremony, as Vikram's family watched the sacred rituals with tears of joy, Priya felt a growing hollowness. This beautiful world of tradition and connection, she was merely a paid actress in it. They're beautiful together, Dadiji whispered, squeezing Priya's hand. Next will be you and Vikram. The words stung unexpectedly. There would be no next for them. At the reception, Tanisha cornered Priya near the dessert table. He told you about our agreement, right? When his startup took off, we decided to take a break so he could focus on his company, but we always planned to reconnect when the time was right. She sighed dramatically. I suppose I waited too long. Priya's practiced smile faltered. This detail hadn't been in Vikram's briefing. Later, when she found a moment alone with him, Priya asked quietly, Is it true about you and Tanisha having an arrangement to reconnect? Vikram looked uncomfortable. It was years ago. Nothing serious. You should have told me. I looked foolish. It didn't seem relevant to our deal, he replied defensively. The word deal hung between them, a stark reminder of their arrangement's true nature. As the celebration continued into the night, Priya watched Vikram laughing with Tanisha, their shared history evident in their comfortable banter, something that felt uncomfortably like jealousy twisted inside her. When had this pretense become so complicated? When had Vikram's opinion begun to matter? When had her heart started forgetting this was just an act? Tomorrow their contract would end. Priya would return to her modest life, her community theater, her small apartment. Vikram would return to his empire, perhaps with Tanisha re-entering his life. As fireworks burst overhead, illuminating the night sky, Priya made her decision. She would finish this performance with dignity, collect her payment, and walk away before these unexpected feelings betrayed her further. After all, some roles were never meant to be permanent. Beyond the curtain call. The final morning dawned with a gentle mist over Lake Pichola. Priya packed her belongings carefully, each fold of clothing a meditation on the strange 3 days that had changed her in ways she couldn't yet understand. A knock at her door revealed Dadiji, bearing a small wooden box. For you, child, the elderly woman said, pressing it into Priya's hands. My grandmother's earrings. I always planned to give them to the woman who would bring light back to my grandson's eyes. I can't accept these, Priya whispered, her throat tight. Vikram and I, save your performances for your theater, Dadiji interrupted with a knowing smile. These old eyes see what hearts try to hide. After the matriarch left, Priya sat heavily on the bed. The charade had become too convincing even to herself. Downstairs, Vikram was finalizing their departure when Tanisha approached. I've been thinking, she began, her voice honeyed. Perhaps it's time we revisited our arrangement. Your company is established now and I'm ready to be the partner you need. Vikram looked at her, elegant, ambitious, perfectly aligned with his world. Yet all he could think about was Priya's face as she had comforted his niece. Her conviction when she spoke of her theater kids, her genuine laugh that made something long dormant inside him stir. I'm sorry, Tanisha. That chapter is closed. As their car departed, Vikram and Priya sat in uncomfortable silence. The family compound faded behind them, along with the roles they had played. I've arranged for the funds to be transferred to your theater program, Vikram finally said. The contract is fulfilled. Priya nodded, staring out the window. Thank you. Your family is wonderful. They deserve the truth someday. What truth? Vikram asked. That I hired you? Or that somewhere during our act I stopped acting? The question hung in the air between them. Priya turned to face him, searching his eyes. Business arrangements have clear endings, she said carefully, but I don't know how to end whatever happened between us. Perhaps we don't have to, Vikram replied, reaching for her hand. What if this wasn't the final scene, but just the first act? I won't fit into your world, Vikram. I'm not Tanisha. Thank goodness for that, he said with unexpected fervor. My world has balance sheets and profit margins, but it was missing something vital until you walked into it. My family didn't fall in love with a pretense, they fell in love with you. So did I. The car approached the city limits of Mumbai, the boundary where their arrangement was supposed to end. I have a theater full of children expecting a director who believes in them, Priya said, her voice wavering. That's my reality. And I have a technology company that could fund arts programs throughout the city, Vikram countered. That could be our reality, together. As the car stopped at a traffic light, Vikram reached into his pocket and pulled out a simple silver ring. Nothing like the ostentatious diamond their fictional engagement had invented. No contract this time, he said. Just a question. Would you consider a different kind of arrangement? One without an ending date? Priya looked at the ring, then at the man offering it. No longer the detached businessman who had hired her, but someone transformed by the very feelings he had asked her to simulate. I might, she whispered, but only if you promise one thing. Anything. That you'll never again mistake what's precious for what's merely valuable. As their fingers intertwined, the boundary between pretense and truth dissolved completely, proving that sometimes the most authentic performances are the ones that transform the actors themselves.